Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boo. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana.
$1 million fam shit,
Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boo. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. Bitch, I'm from Louisiana. We call it that boo.
Yeah, welcome to Off the Dome Sports, y'all. My name is Sean Militello. My co-host, Mr. Ryan Navarro. Saints got a dub. Who that? Let's go. Let's go. We're talking about the Saints getting the dub in Chicago. It was ugly. Very ugly. But it's a win, baby. It's a win. We'll take it, man. I mean, I don't think I've seen an uglier game than that in a win in a long time. What do you have to say about that, Ryan?
I've seen some ugly wins from the Saints, but it kind of goes what my old basketball coach used to say: good teams find ways to win. So today we somehow found a way to win, even though it looked like at times we tried to give away that game. So it overall is a good win. They're 5-3 now.
5-2, or the Bears are 5-3.
The Bears are now 5-3. So I mean, they're a good football team. We had to go on the road, and we had some unusual circumstances. They were talking about doing game prep, and at times they had to stay later and because of connectivity issues and stuff in New Orleans, just from having to deal with Hurricane Zeta. So overcoming that, that's really good for the Saints team. Hopefully everything gets back in line for the Bucs game next week.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention that you're out without Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Marquez Callaway, who just popped on the scene last week. And you're playing one of the top 5 defense in Chicago Bears. And I know people give him Foles some crap, but he's no joke. He could beat you. He might not be the greatest quarterback in the world, but he could beat you. That offense still could beat you for Chicago. So, I mean, to come away with that, and like you just said, the adversity of trying to practice and watch film this week was, hard because everybody's power is out in New Orleans. A lot of these guys don't have homes. They normally stay in apartments, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're like a veteran like Drew Brees. He probably has them a backup generator or something. But, these guys some of these guys haven't been in New Orleans all their lives, so they don't know. Sometimes, power goes out for several days after a big storm. So, man, you got to give hats off to the Saints. Sean Payton's play calling was a little shoddy. Not going to lie, it was a little shoddy. It was shoddy, actually. It wasn't a little. It was shoddy. But you know what? What was more important that we came away with a win. A team, a Bears team, that just beat the Tampa Bay Bucks like a week or two ago on a primetime stage. So, I mean, what does that tell you about the Saints? We beat the Buccaneers. in week 1, and then we beat the Bears, a team that's beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you say about that? And why? And honestly, what do you think about that? That the NFL and the league and the outside media is not giving us enough credit, and we're not even at our full potential.
You know, there's a comparison between this game and the Bucks game that not a lot of people are going to look at. But what do we do? These are the only 2 games. Those were the only 2 games that the Saints got turnovers. I mean, you look at Marshawn Lattimore getting a big pick when Foles just overthrew someone, and then the Bucks game, obviously special teams and Janoris Jenkins came up big. So those are the defense coming up big, and defense did play a lot better today. There's still some issues. The Bears try to run too much, in my opinion, and then Foles started getting scared of Cam Jordan coming after him, so that made Foles play a little bit worse towards the end of the game. But still, there was times where I can remember. The Bears' last drive before overtime, you got up 3rd and 15 and they convert. So, I mean, you still got to clear up some of those issues. Lattimore had a better game. Janoris Jenkins, for the most part, had a better game. Marcus Williams had a better game. I mean, you didn't see too many guys getting burnt, so that was a good thing.
Right. And I think it was 1 or 2 plays that we did get burnt, but it wasn't like Carolina. Carolina had a bunch of plays where we got absolutely burnt. But I would say it was only like 1 or 2 plays we got absolutely burnt. And I think it was that Allen Robinson touchdown and the Mooney touchdown. Both of them were big receptions. Both of them were for touchdowns. But other than those 2, we didn't really blow a lot of coverages, but we still struggled. We actually gave up 89 yards of rushing just to 1 rusher. We almost lost that streak, but we still maintain it. Where the Saints hold a single rusher under 100 yards, that streak still stays alive. But we almost gave it up today. Foles only completed 28 passes out of 41 attempts. Only 272 yards of passing, and he had 2 touchdowns and an interception. It's okay, but the defense did just enough to win, and that's all you can ask for. The offense did just enough to win. The offense was just as bad, I would say, as the defense today. But what do you expect when you're down 3 of your top wide receivers? There's
Alvin Kamara is your top receiver.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara with 9 receptions, 9 receptions, 96 yards.
That's the thing that I got really upset was, we made it obvious that we were just trying to get the ball to Alvin Kamara. Like, we didn't even try to get the ball to Tommy Lee Lewis. I think we threw it to Deontay Harris twice. We threw it to Jawan Johnson twice.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Cook a handful of times, if that. So, we made it obvious that we wanted to basically run the offense through Alvin Kamara. And, hey, we come out with the victory, but at the time, especially in the 3rd quarter when we had a ton of opportunities, it was, we got to be better, and we can't just sit here and not have and get these wasted opportunities.
We struggled on 3rd down.
You score those 2 you score 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter when the Bears give you short field. We aren't going to overtime,
Right. And you know what? And what do you say, Ryan?
I mean, we did clear it up in the 4th quarter. That first drive we had in the 4th quarter was probably our best drive of the game. Drew Brees was finding people in the middle of the field. So I mean, it looked a really good drive. Other than of course, 2-man offense. Our 2-man offense is always fantastic. If only we can always just run our offense like we do in 2 minutes, it'd be fantastic. But overall, you knew it was going to be a knockout, drag out type of game just because you're playing the Bears. The Bears are probably top 5 defense, you said. So we came out with victory in Chicago in a very weird week. I consider that to be a success.
Well, I got one thing to say. Thank God for Will Lutz, because if we didn't have a good kick, I know he missed one field goal. He's gonna miss a field goal a time for
He
time.
made
I mean,
9 in a row.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't blame. I mean, it was, and also if you look back at it, Morstead put it in an awkward position, and it's part of the reason why he missed that one and York off the field goal post. But he was 4 for 5 for field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points. If we didn't have a good kicker, we might have lost this game. But thank God for Will Lutz, Big Nuts Lutz. That's what we like to call him here on Off the Dome. I think a lot of people like to call him that. But
Yeah,
you
but
look at it, huh?
special teams in general. I mean, Deontay Harris had a few key returns that set up.
They're the best unit on today's game, because you look at Deontay Harris had him a big special teams day. He had three returns for 7 yards, and you also got to realize we played against Cordell Patterson and Dwayne Harris, one of the two explosive returners in the NFL, and we hold them pretty damn well. So special teams was the best unit on the field, like you were just saying.
Yeah, but again, I gotta give hats off to our defensive line, especially towards the end of the game. They did a really good job of getting pressure on Nick Foles. Kind of made Nick Foles question Davenport. For all you Davenport haters out there, he had another good game. Onyemata had a really good game. Cameron Jordan finally got a sack, so that was amazing.
Henderson had a sack too. Henderson continues to shine.
Only negative thing is obviously losing Sheldon Rankins, but
he's out for a couple of weeks. He has a sprained MCL.
Yeah, but personally, next man up, Malcolm Roach. Let's go. But we got to try to total and stuff too. So I'm not worried about the defensive front. If only these next few weeks, especially next week, it's just going to be on our secondary. I mean,
right?
Because they're getting Antonio Brown next week. I mean, Godwin. I know he was out this week, but Godwin's going to probably play next week. So I mean, unless they get some injuries tonight, you're going to be tomorrow. They play tomorrow. You're going to be with a big task next week. I hope some people pack their lunch. Patrick Robinson, PJ Williams, Marcus Williams. You got to pack a lunch.
Pack a lunch. But, yeah, I mean, I think next week we're going to have all 3 wide receivers back. I think this game in particular, really what I didn't like, and I know we're down 3 wide receivers, but why do we keep using it? And I know Taysom Hill had 5 rushes for 35 yards today, but why do we keep using him as just a runner? Why can't we use him more as a receiver? As you see today, he had 2 receptions for 30 yards, one of them being a touchdown. He's able to beat defensive backs. I just don't understand why we're not using him nearly enough like we did last year. He's literally a weapon that we need to utilize on all areas of the offense, running, receiving. Like, why we're not doing that? You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're down 3 wide receivers. You're gonna literally gonna try to pass it to 2, 5, 6 wide receivers and Deontay Harris and fucking Tommy Lee Lewis. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And Juwan Johnson, this is his first true game playing. I think he was activated last week, but he didn't hardly even play. But why not use Taysom Hill more often? I'm tired of not. I'm actually just tired of seeing him as a rusher. He's a receiver. Why can't we use him as a receiver?
Yeah, and one of my things was, he had 5 rushes. Why didn't he at least attempt to throw a pass? Make it look like he was going to throw a pass. It could have been a design run, could have been a bootleg and whatever. But there, especially when we got in that third quarter, just where the game just kind of went stalemate for a minute. Why not just get them to throw a pass? Knock them off what they're going through. It's just, Sean, where's your creativity, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Something's been up with Sean Payton's creativity and his play calling lately. It hasn't been the greatest so far this year. It's something that's probably needs to work on later in the season, because it's only going to get tougher. Like you just said, Ryan, we're going to have to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they just got better with Antonio Brown. I think that he's actually going to be activated next week. He's off the suspension. So, I mean, man, I know they don't have O.J. Howard anymore because he's gone for the season, but still, I mean, I'm not even worried about their receiving. I think the key to stopping Tampa Bay next week is their rushing attack. You stop their rushing attack, then you can just focus on passing. Because Tom Brady, he's a little better with deep ball passing than Drew, but he's not much better. So he's not gonna beat you down deep like he used to in the past. But we'll see how it goes for next week. But like I said, I just wish we would have used Taysom Hill more often than we should have.
Yeah, I think next week you're going to see a little bit more creativity just because I think Sean Payne really wants to stick it to him. So he'll probably come up with some more creativities. I don't see a point in the game next week where everyone's going to go stalemate. Even though everybody's talking about like the Buccaneers have like this great defense, their great defense never really shows up against the Saints. So, because they haven't added anything on defense in the last 2 years. So, they got a great defensive line, but
I feel like the Bears defense is better than the Bucks right now.
Bears defense definitely is. The Bears, look, you got a good linebacking core, and they got some solid pieces in their secondary to go along with people on their defensive line.
Roquan Smith is a dog.
Eddie
Jackson, Kyle Fuller. They have Akeem Hicks. I don't think Khalil Mack played today.
He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
That's just a monster of a defense. I think the Buccaneers, what their problem, they have the number one total defense, but like you just said, they don't really show up against the Saints at times. I honestly, if Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Marquez Callaway is ready to go, it's going to be a shootout. I honestly think it's going to be a shootout. I think next week might be a possibility that we might give up a single 100-yard rusher because they got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. That's the key to stopping the Buccaneers, in my opinion. Their run game sets up their passing game. Like I just said, Tom Brady, he's not the guy just to beat you by passing by himself. He's going to have the run to set him up. I just don't see him just burning us just by himself. Unless because we don't really get beat with the short passing, unless it's honestly we do pretty well covering the short passes underneath. We get beat deep, and I don't really see us getting beat deep that much because besides Antonio Brown, that's the only guy we have to worry about getting beat deep because he's probably going to be their fastest receiver. So he's going to be he's going to be the best wide receiver on the field. But the thing is, he hasn't played a little over a year now. So
Godwin would be the best wide receiver on the field, but
just because Antonio Brown hasn't played in a year.
But who knows how Antonio Brown is going to play? Nobody really knows. Antonio Brown hasn't played since that last little stint in New England, so nobody really knows what Antonio Brown is going to do. I kind of agree with your points about shutting down the run, but I think we always shut down the run. I'm more concerned about Leonard Fournette than I am about Ronald Jones. But, at the same time, I think it's just going to have to be another day where the defensive line is going to have to put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady. If the defensive line does their job, hopefully the secondary does their job. We know Marshawn Lattimore always comes to play against Mike Evans. So, like I said, Janoris Jenkins, P.J. Williams, Patrick Robinson, back to lunch because y'all got Godwin and Antonio Brown.
Right, and that's one of the things we're going to have to work on, not just against the Bucs, but for the rest of the season. This pass coverage has to be fixed. We get beat, all the time, and it just has to be fixed. What are these? I just want to know, because we're not really on-field football experts. We like to believe that we know everything as far as the simple stuff. But I just want to know, maybe we can ask somebody who's played the game. But what are these guys doing wrong? Where we're just straight up blowing coverages like we are. We're just getting beat. What are these guys doing wrong?
I mean, part of it is when we go zone, it's super lax. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we went zone today, it was just super lax. I mean,
It
and the
was.
receiver, eventually, if you give Nick Foles and receivers enough time, they're going to find a hole. I mean, it's kind of like Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas always finds a hole in his zone. Emmanuel Sanders, that one week was just finding holes in the zones, and it was working out great. So, man to man, I thought we were pretty good today. Of course, Jenkins got burned at one time, but I think man to man we were pretty good. It's just sometimes you get overly aggressive. It's kind of like what LSU problem is. Sometimes they get over aggressive and then end up getting burned.
They just bad, bro. LSU was just bad. There's nothing.
You come up, you try to come up to the line and jab them, and they end up just passing you. That's what the issue really is, and and part of it, I don't know, like the pass interference on Jimmy Graham. Why is Demario Davis in coverage? Where's Zach Bond? Is that what we drafted him for, to be kind of a coverage linebacker?
I don't know. Did Kiko play today? Kiko Honda?
I didn't hear Kiko's name. I heard a lot of Alex Anzalone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what was up with that. So, but at the same time, I mean, we heard so many good things about this secondary group in training camp. Obviously Patrick Robinson's name was brought up a lot, and he's made a couple of good plays, but it hasn't been nothing stellar. Lattimore, it was nice to see him get a pick today, but outside of that game against Mike Evans, Lattimore hasn't been overly too great. So, I mean, and look, we got an extra day next week because it's a Monday night game. So, hopefully they get keyed in. And, I think everyone is focused on, making sure the NFC South still runs through New Orleans.
Right. And honestly, and then the Buccaneers, they play tomorrow night.
Yeah, they play the Giants.
I think they play tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, they play the Giants. Come on, Giants. Yeah, I mean, the only reason why the Buccaneers are, in fact, right as we speak, the Saints are first, but most likely they're going to move back down to second because the Buccaneers play the Giants tomorrow, and, Giants is not all that great of a team. But, hopefully the Giants win. Technically, we're first of this division, and a lot of people don't realize, we're not at our full potential right now. We're still going through some things. We still need to work on some things. I'm just ready to see us reach our full potential. And I believe that starts when Michael Thomas coming back. I think Michael Thomas is going to be the difference maker next week. And a lot of people want to create all this drama around Michael Thomas. There's really no drama. He got in a fight with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. As you see today, he got in a fight with somebody today. There's no drama, people. Come on, man. I think it needs to stop. You know what I'm saying?
Michael Johnson's a little bitch. That's all he is.
No, he's not a bitch. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have beat that guy up. I mean, he just didn't want to cause his team opinion. He just stood there and took the punches. Jenkins hopped off.
He just sat there, still as could be, while that guy just trying to punch him.
I mean,
who punches the guy in the helmet?
I don't know. I don't know if you saw it, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson put on Instagram. He said, "Wims punched like a bitch." But
that's a good way how he gets suspended, man.
I wonder how Michael Thomas was how he felt when he was watching that. He's like, you see, now people see C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He fucking talks his trash. You know what I'm saying? He talks trash. He gets in people's heads. So all this drama surrounding Michael Thomas needs to stop. And saying that we're going to trade him needs to stop. If we're going to trade him, it's going to be in the offseason. There's no way we trade him before the trade deadline because, if you trade Michael Thomas, you're pretty much saying your season's over. What kind of thing People did not. They just watched today's game. We're out without 3 top wide receivers. We've been struggling beforehand for the first 2 or 3 games without Thomas. You know what I'm saying? If you trade Thomas, the season's over. I'm sorry. We're not going to the Super Bowl. We'll probably barely make the playoffs. That'd be the dumbest mistake, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's kind of bullshit that people are even going to try to start those rumors. Yeah, and you local beat reporters out there in New Orleans or Pennsylvania, y'all need just chill. Y'all made Sean Payton come up on Twitter and roast y'all. You know how bad that is. So
I know he straight up did that for himself. He said insiders on the outside where they belong because he said that on his own. Nobody asked him. Nobody even pushed him to say that. He said that on his own. Went on Twitter and personally said that. There's nothing going on, folks. Thomas just got in a fight with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. As you see, Gardner-Johnson is probably annoying as fuck. So he got in a fight with him. That's all.
That's all. Yeah.
Mr. Roper Show, what's up, Mike? He says, why don't the Saints pick up a wide receiver? It's just one of the things.
Up enough.
I mean,
they kind of have.
I mean, the only time I could think of we signed a wide receiver that wasn't on our practice squad or during the season, or that wasn't like associated with us in the past was Dez Bryant, and we've seen how that goes. The Saints, and particularly, like to stay within their own, practice squad or people that's played for the system. So, I mean, but plus they're all coming back, all healthy. We should be good to go next week. So it's going to be a high-powered wide receiver core. So we're ready to go. We're not going to need another wide receiver. The only reason I think we signed a wide receiver is if one of them guys get hurt late in the season, right before playoff time. That's the only time I could think of that we would pick up a guy in free agency. I don't think we'd pick up a guy now.
And I think Emmanuel Sanders should be available for a full week of practice too.
Oh yeah, he's good to go.
So Callaway, it kind of makes me wonder when like Sean Payton said last week, Callaway's injury wasn't that much, and then this week Callaway doesn't play. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, are y'all covering crap up? Like, but that's how the Saints are. That's how New Orleans is, period. Everybody's hush us. We didn't know who the head coach of the Pelicans was going to be till like one day before they actually hired him. So,
right.
But it's going to be really fun to watch this, because you essentially got 4 guys who are going to be unpredictable. Are you going to throw the Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Callaway, Kamara, Jared Cook, Taysom Hill? I mean, there's a lot of weapons.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that Alvin Kamara, as a running back, is in top 10 in receiving right now. He was top 5 earlier. He's top 10 now. Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah, but we kind of had to rely on him until Sanders woke up while Michael Thomas was out. So it's crazy in a sense, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta work with what you're given. So I think next week you're gonna see. I hope we run it. I hope we at least run it at least 20 times next week, just to keep them on their heels. Because if we just go out there and just start passing it, we're going to get too predictable. And, next thing you know, we got Taysom Hill and a quarterback running the Wildcat, which is even more predictable. So,
what I like to see from next week is a nice balance, offense attack next week. Keep them guessing. Like you just said, we don't want to get too predictable. Let's keep them guessing. Let's give them a little Kamara in the running game. Let's get him in the receiving game like we always do. Let's get some Latavius Murray action. We couldn't get him going today, but it's understandable because the Bears have such a good defense. It's hard to run against them. But with that being said, we showed that we can run against Tampa Bay week 1. So and it's basically the same defensive line and linebacker core from last year. And I believe we ran it pretty good against them last year, didn't we?
Yeah, Kamara had field days.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we need a nice balanced attack. We need to give it to them next week. We need to show the whole world that hey, the Saints are better than the Buccaneers. You know what? And you know what? The Saints might be the best team in the NFL. And I'm not saying that right now at this moment. I think we're a fringe top 10 team at this moment. But, I think next week is our time to shine. This is the time where, we need to gain.
Football.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sunday night football, actually. But
Monday. It's a Monday.
You sure?
Yeah, it's Monday Night Football.
Next week.
Yeah.
Oh, let me. I thought I seen it was on Sunday night.
Okay.
Let me look it up.
Monday. Hey, anyway, this is the first time I wore this jersey on a Saints game day, and the Saints actually won.
So that's 1-0. No, the Saints Buccaneers play Sunday night. It's on Sunday night.
So it's still a primetime game. I thought it was on Monday.
Yeah. I think you might get confused because the Buccaneers play tomorrow night. On Monday night.
It's still prime time.
Yeah, you're right. It's prime time. Let's go show the world that hey, we're better than the Buccaneers. I'm tired of all this hype around the Buccaneers. They're really not that good of a team. I'm sorry, they're really not. So let's see what we can do.
I wouldn't say they're not a good team.
I mean, people got them as a top 5 team, and some people even have them the best team in the NFL. And you know what? I might believe that as talent-wise, but you look at it, it's like they are beatable. You look at the 2 teams they lost. They lost to us. They lost to the Bears. 2 good record teams. Besides the Packers, all those other teams have been ass. The other teams they've been beaten.
The Packers have really. I mean, they didn't look good today against the Vikings.
No, they didn't. They look awful.
I mean, ever since the Packers came off their bye week, they haven't looked good at all. I mean, I appreciate what all Devontae Adams is doing for me in fantasy, but at the same time, they haven't looked good at all.
Right. A team that looked good today is the Seahawks. I don't know if you watched that.
That's good.
Man, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I got a message for DK Metcalf. Stop stealing touchdowns from Tyler Lockett.
No,
I have Tyler Lockett on my fantasy team.
I got Metcalf.
You got Metcalf?
Yeah.
Well, fuck you, Ryan. I want Lockett. I want Lockett to be the guy that gets all them touchdowns. But
but overall today, Saints games wise, you took out. I don't know what it's been. Sean's play calling in the third quarter has been shoddy.
Yeah, it's been bad.
I mean, it just seems to be the third quarter. You come out in the fourth quarter and all of a sudden you start clicking on all cylinders. But for some reason,
do you think that Sean Payton should maybe give some of the play calling to Pete Carmichael?
I think you should give it to Drew Brees.
Give it to Drew Brees?
Yeah. Why not? Drew Brees has been here 14 years. Ain't nobody know how to run an offense better on this team than Drew Brees. I mean, he's done it with literally everyone. It's been the same offense for 14 years. Mm-hmm. The only thing different now is that we added Taysom Hill in as a Wildcat. I mean, other than that, I don't think Drew Brees giving Taysom Hill any reps anyway. I mean, Drew Brees gets upset every time Taysom comes in the game.
Right.
And I think you put faith in what your quarterback thinks is best. I mean, ain't nobody know that offense better than Drew Brees, other than Sean Payton. I mean, Sean Payton, look, I mean, there needs to be a sit down when they're watching film and being like, okay, what's going wrong here? Trust me, we could have scored touchdowns on those 2 drives in the third quarter, but we sat there and got stagnant. We ran Taysom Hill twice and got nothing. So, I know it worked 3 out of the 5 times today, but you're sitting there wasting downs. I mean, like you
Every
said,
time
awful on
Taysom,
third down.
I feel like every time Taysom comes in, it's a wasted down as a rusher. Every time he comes in as a quarterback, I feel like it's a wasted down. I do
I
agree
thought
with
it was
that.
pitiful on the Bears' part, and they still couldn't stop him on 3 of the runs. You know,
Yeah,
everybody in America knows what he's about to do.
right.
You know, he's not about to give it off. He's not about to throw it. He's going to literally come in, run on the left edge behind Teron Armstead, and freaking take it up the gut. That's what he does every single time.
And you know what? I think we need to look at like what other quarterback head coach relationships. What do they do? I'm pretty sure I've read numerous times that Pat Mahomes sometimes calls his own plays. I've seen where Russell Wilson calls his own plays at times. I've also read that. So like I think you're on to something, Ryan. Maybe have Drew Brees start calling the plays more often. You know, maybe like have Sean Payton be like, I don't know how it works. Don't quote me on this because I really never really played football. You know
He
what I'm saying?
calls
But
audibles.
as I'm saying, like maybe have Drew Brees call the plays based off what he's seeing from the defense, and then maybe have Sean Payton like chime in, you know, at time for time, like, hey, maybe we should go with a run, you know, or hey, let's put a Taysom real quick, and then let Drew Brees handle them duties, you know.
Yeah. You know, it's frustrating to see sometimes when the Saints offense just goes stagnant because there's really no reason. I mean, even today with having 3 wide receivers out, you know, you can still find creativity to get the ball to whoever. You know, you can get it to Traquan Smith or Jared Cook. I mean, you still got those 2 weapons that are experienced in the offense. You maybe be able to get Tommy Lee Lewis get smacked again and get a 15-yard penalty out of it. Unlike, you know,
If it's Tommy Lewis, they're not going to call the pass.
but
um,
I mean, still, you can't go stagnant when you got that good of an offense. And you know, run the Kamara to the right. Taysom Hill comes in, run to the left. So what do you think's going to happen on 3rd and 6? Drew Brees is going to throw something, and then there was like 4th down. There was a couple plays tonight where I read the play straight off. Like they set up. Like the time when they threw the little screen pass to Kamara on like 3rd down. It's like, okay, everyone in the nation saw that coming because you let the pocket completely collapse on one side, and then Kamara just blanked out, and bam, he got sacked. You know, they just started putting a spy on Kamara. So it was just like frustrating because everybody knew where the ball. There was times where everyone knew where the ball was going, and it's like, where's the creativity? You know, why isn't Drew looking for someone else? I know if you're going to put your faith in someone, you'd rather put in Alvin Kamara than Juwan Johnson. But at the same time, you know, there's 11 guys out there trying to help you win.
right. And then we look at the rest of the schedule here. We play the Buccaneers, obviously, next Sunday night. Then we play 49ers, which is, you know, even though they're struggling a bit, it's still not going to be an easy matchup. Then we have the Falcons, which is not going to be an easy matchup because they're starting, you know, they want to prove themselves like, hey, we still are a good team, even though they are sucking this year.
Hey,
We
next
played.
they got the Chargers. 2 teams that know how to give it up in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and they have both of them have highly explosive offense as well, so that's going to be a shootout. And then you have the Broncos. The Broncos came up with a huge win today, and it's going to be at Denver. It's going to be snowing, so that's going to be a tough one.
Hey, Drew
And
won in the cold today. Everyone always talks crap about how Drew can't win in the cold.
you know, I believe it was a while back, but I think it was Mickey Loomis and what's his name, Mike Detillier brought it up on a Saints show, or probably it might have been WWL. But anyway, what they said, the myth behind Drew Brees playing in cold weather is, you know, it's kind of like stupid because like he's literally got a winning record in the cold weather. He's like, this is probably like his 10th game he's won out of the 12 games he's played in cold weather. So you look at it, and these are temperatures under 30 degrees or less. That's what the stat they brought up. I don't remember the exact stat, but it was literally, above 500 record. So
I
he
mean,
could play in the cold weather. I don't know where people get that.
yeah, it's stupid. I mean,
He played at
in the
Purdue.
AFC. What he played in the AFC West.
He played at Purdue in college, and it snows up there in Indiana. So I don't know where people get that. And he's when he played at Purdue, he was one of the most prolific quarterbacks to play in the Big Ten. Period. He's one of the top quarterbacks, in the country when he played. So he played at Indiana. That's a cold weather state.
The hurricane coming through did kind of help because it got super cold after the hurricane, and the Saints were actually able to practice outdoors when it was like 40 degrees. So,
Right.
That helped a little bit.
So
it got that cold in New Orleans, but it got that cold in Lafayette.
So after you play the Broncos, you play at Falcons, then you play at Eagles. Then you got a big one coming up. You're playing against the Chiefs at home. Hopefully get some more fans in. And then you play the Vikings, and then you play the Panthers the last game. So, you got a couple big games, but, we'll see how they do. I think obviously next week's is a big time game. Like, honestly, I want to say next week is a must win. If you want to control your division,
If you want to mark yourself as a contender, a Super Bowl contender, you have to win next week. Because otherwise, people just aren't going to believe you.
And I feel like Saints come across this every year and within the division. And I know we won it like 3-4 years in a row, right? But before we won it, it used to be it used to be stagnant. We'll have Saints win one year, Falcons win one year, Panthers win one year. But when we had that problem, the Saints always had a problem where like when the Panthers were so good, we would lose to them like late in the year, or we lose to the Falcons when they were good late in the year. So I think this is that game this year.
Well, it's not make or break to say the
It's not. It's not make or break, but this is something that
if you go in and take care of business like you're supposed to, you still go 12-4, because the Chiefs is a very losable game too, and I don't think anybody will blame the Saints if Patrick Mahomes comes in and lights it up.
Right.
So you still go 12-4, you get through the wild card. It's just you just make it harder on yourself. But if you do win this game this week, you're probably in the contention for that number 1 seed with the Seahawks if you take care of business. So,
right, and right before we wrap up the show, let's go ahead and just predict. We want to predict the rest of the season? Maybe just like predict our final record. We can go. All right. So, who you got next week? Saints or Bucks?
Saints.
All right. I'm gonna go with the Saints too. We got everybody back in the receiving core. I think we'll win. Okay, and then 49ers versus Saints. Saints at home.
Yeah, it's Saints at home. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Saints.
There's gonna be some more fans in that game.
Falcons at Saints.
I'm gonna give the edge to the Saints just because I think once you beat the Bucks, you're gonna have to start having that mindset that okay, we got our division, so now we gotta get ourselves in position to get that number 1 seed.
I'm gonna go with the Saints too, and I agree with that. Saints at Broncos.
I'm going with Saints.
I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I think this is where we drop one. Huh?
I said I know you're gonna go with the Broncos, but I don't. The way they're gonna play is good for our defense. The Broncos, they don't throw downfield. They're just going to freaking pound it with Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon.
I don't know, man. We haven't beaten the Broncos. We never beaten the Broncos in the Sean Payton era, and I believe we haven't beaten the Broncos since like 1999. It's gonna be at Broncos. It's gonna be a trap game. It's gonna be one of them trap games. So we got Saints at Falcons.
Ooh. It's going to depend on how good the Falcons are actually playing.
I think we'll drop another
I
one.
think the Saints. I think Saints will win that.
You going with Saints? I'm gonna go with the Falcons. I think we drop another one.
Done pretty good in Atlanta lately, so
right.
At that time, Deion Jones tried to kill Alvin Kamara.
Saints at Eagles.
The Saints.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints too. Chiefs at Saints.
I think that's where the Saints are gonna lose.
All right. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs as well. Vikings at Saints. I'm gonna go with the Saints.
Yeah, Saints are gonna be looking for vengeance.
Plus is at home, and by the time then we should have.
Yeah, by that time there's gonna be 20,000 to down if everything is a plan.
And then Saints at Panthers. I'm gonna go with the Saints.
It's gonna depend. If the Saints have number one locked up, they're gonna sit everyone. If not, then the Saints are gonna win.
So we're gonna go with Saints for you. I'm gonna go with Saints. So I'm gonna have them finishing.
You got 12-4.
3, 4, 5. I have them going 11-5. You have them going
13-3.
13-3. So we'll come back. We'll revisit that on our next post game show. We'll go by week. Ryan's gonna have them going out at 13-3, and I'm gonna have them finishing 11-5. So we'll see how that goes. Anything else you want to say, Ryan? Anything you want to say off the dome?
Off the dome. I personally just think once, as long as we keep the injury bug away on offense, the offense is just going to be unstoppable. And I think I don't see too many times where we're just going to stall out just because, you can't cover everyone at the same time. It's going to get to where I think we're going to get a lot more zone looks. And Drew Brees knows how to get a zone. So I personally just think it's going to be we're going to turn it into an unstoppable team, kind of like the Chiefs, maybe like the Bucks. I'm still skeptical about Antonio Brown, but who knows?
Right, and
step up.
What you said?
Defense, step up.
Yeah, defense. I'm gonna give my final thoughts right here. Defense, pass defense, particularly, needs to step up, and this is in order to be the team to beat in the NFC. Pass coverage has to step up. Sean Payton's play call has to be better, and we got to be more consistent. Just as a team, obviously. So we could do them 3 things. We could go to Super Bowl, hopefully. If not, you're gonna be looking at 10-6, 9-7. So we'll see how it goes. I think this team. I would say this team in particular in the NFL has the most. I don't know what the word is it for, but we can either go 9-7 or 10-6, or we can go 13-3, like you just said. So, we could either hit bottom of our achievements or hit the ceiling of what we should be, like we predicted at the beginning of the season. But I think that's going to do it on Off the Dome Sports. Saints win 26-23 in overtime against the Bears. We'll see you next week after the Buccaneers game. Y'all get ready for that. Who dat, baby? Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who that said they're going to beat them Saints?
Who that? Let's play a little song.